This is English Shorthand Dictation number 81 and the dictation speed is 140 words per minute. Ready? Start. Mr. Chairman, sir, I rise to speak on behalf of millions of unknown yet very important holds of unrecognized warriors of freedom, the original people of India who have variously been known as backward tribes, primitive tribes, criminal tribes, and everything else. Sir, I am proud to be a jungli. That is the name by which we are known in my part of the country. As we live in the jungles, we know what it means to support this resolution. On behalf of more than 30 million of the Adivasis, I support it not merely because it may have been sponsored by a leader of the Indian National Congress. I support it because it is a resolution which gives expression to sentiments that throb in every heart in this country. I have no quarrel with the wording of this resolution at all. As an Adivasi, I am not expected to understand the legal intricacies of the resolution, but my common sense tells me that every one of us should march in that road of freedom and fight together. If there is any group of Indian people that has been shabbily treated, it is my people. They have been disgracefully treated, neglected for the last 6,000 years. The history of the Indus Valley civilization shows quite clearly that it is the newcomers who have driven away my people from the Indus Valley to the jungles. This resolution is not going to teach Adivasis democracy. You cannot teach democracy to the tribal people. You have to learn democratic ways from them. They are the most democratic people on earth. What my people require is not adequate safeguards, as Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru has put it. We do not ask for any special protection. We want to be treated like every other Indian. There is the problem of Hindustan. There is position of Pakistan. There is the problem of Adivasis. If we all shout in different militant directions, we shall end up in Kabristan. The whole history of my people is one of continuous exploitation and dispossession by the non-aboriginals of India, punctuated by rebellions and disorder. And yet I take Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru at his word. I take you all at your word that now we are going to start a new chapter of independent India where there is equality of opportunity, where no one would be neglected. There is no question of caste in my society. We are all equal. Have we not been casually treated by the cabinet mission? More than 30 million people completely ignored? It is only a matter of political window dressing that today we find 6 tribal members in this constituent assembly. What has the Indian National Congress done for our fair representation? Is there going to be any provision in the rules whereby it may be possible to bring in more Adivasis? By Adivasis, I mean not only men but women also. There are too many men in the Constituent Assembly. We want more women of the type of Mrs. Vijaya Lakshmi Pandit, who has already won a victory in America by destroying this racialism. My people have been suffering for 6,000 years because of racialism of the Hindus and everybody else. My people are deeply concerned about what is going to happen about the selection to the advisory committee. I want to be quite clear on that point. I think there has been juggling of words going on to deceive us. I have heard of resolutions and speeches galore assuring Adivasis of a fair deal. If history had to teach me anything at all, I should distrust this resolution, but I do not. Now we are on a new road. Now we have simply got to learn to trust each other. We must create a new atmosphere of confidence among ourselves. I regret there has been too much talk in this House in terms of parties and minorities. Sir, I do not consider my people a minority. We have already heard on the floor of the House this morning that the depressed classes also consider themselves as Adivasis, the original inhabitants of this country. If you go on adding people like the exterior castes and others who are socially in no man's land, we are not a minority. In any case, we have prescriptive rights that no one dare deny. I am convinced that not only the mover of this resolution but everyone here will deal with us justly. It is only by dealing justly and not by a proclamation of empty words that we will be able to shape a constitution which will mean real freedom. I have heard pronouncements made by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in different parts of the country. More particularly, I was impressed by what he said during his visit to Assam during the elections. When he was in Ramgarh, I invited him to come and address the 60,000 Adivasis who were assembled at Ranchi, only 30 miles away. Unfortunately, work kept him busy and he was unable to come. Sir, the solutions to the various problems of the Adivasis are obvious to my mind, and these solutions will have to be thrashed out at some later date. Here I can only adumbrate what is my faith in what seems to be the just solution, and it is by a realignment, by a daring redistribution of provinces. Sir, the case of my own area has been very well put by yourself when you were the chairman of the reception committee of the Ramgarh session of the Congress. I say you cannot teach my people democracy. It is the advent of Indo-Aryan holds that has been destroying the vestiges of democracy. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, in his book Discovery of India, talks of the Indus Valley civilization and later centuries and says that there were many tribal republics, some of them covering large areas. There will again be many tribal republics which will be in the vanguard of the battle for Indian freedom. I heartily support the resolution and hope that the members who are now outside will have the same faith in their fellow countrymen. Let us fight for freedom together, sitting together and working together. Then alone we shall have real freedom. Mr. Chairman, sir, representing the mercantile community, I want to look at this proposal from the businessman's point of view. From that standpoint, I heartily support the proposal that has been put forward by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. In my humble opinion, what the cabinet mission did was to recognize the aspirations of the people to attain independence, put some fetters on the deliberations of the Constituent Assembly, and leave the rest to the talent and genius of the representatives of this country. There are many lacunae in the cabinet mission's statement which we are entitled to fill and shape our constitution in such a manner as will give to the people their aspiration and give us a good constitution. Unless we are prepared to lay down the general objective which we have got to achieve, unless we are prepared to appoint a committee and define the central subjects, I do not see how it is possible for us to go ahead with the shaping of the Constitution of India. According to my honorable friend's argument, at this preliminary session we would not even be able to appoint a committee to deal with the central subjects. I fail to understand how we can go ahead without doing so. If we do not define the central subjects at this period of time, it will not be possible for the provinces or the groups to frame their own constitution. They may assume to themselves powers which may ultimately have to be taken over by the central government. It is therefore absolutely necessary that apart from laying down the objective, we should find out what is meant by the central subjects and what finances are necessary to administer them. Similarly, we shall have to lay down other principles, appoint an advisory committee to deal with the rights of minorities, how to safeguard their interests, and do any other things that are desirable, and endeavor to lay down for the purpose of framing the Constitution. He fears that if we put forward the objective now, Mr. Jinnah and his party may not come into the Constituent Assembly. I very humbly differ from his opinion.